Greetings everyone, one more video on the verb histemi, and here we're going to look at two passages from the same author. So we start with Luke 21:15 and then we'll look at Acts 6:10. Luke 21:15. Ego gardoso humin. Here we have Jesus is speaking I, for I, doso. Do you recognize the future of didomi? I will give to you. Stoma kai sophion he. Here's the first three words are the direct object of doso. I will give you stoma, a mouth. Let's say speech perhaps. Kai sophion, wisdom. And they're both accusative as the direct object of didomi. But then we get a relative pronoun, he. Now relative pronouns are supposed to agree with their antecedent in gender and number. He only agrees with one of these two words, sophion. In fact, it really represents both words, but when you have a compound expression, speech and wisdom, the antecedent could either agree with both of those by being plural and picking one gender or the other, or it could just agree with the nearest antecedent. So here, he just agrees in gender with sophion. We'll see another example of the same phenomenon when we look at the Acts passage. It remains to be explored why he is dative in case. Of course, it's the relative pronoun takes its case from its own clause. We'll get the answer momentarily. U dunesantai antistenai e antepain. U dunesantai is the future of dunamai. Antai is plural. They will not be able. Antistenai. Antistenai is the infinitive from antistemi, and because this is a histemi verb, it takes the same infinitive form that we would expect for histemi. And if you look antistemi up in the dictionary, you're going to see stand against tini. Tini is the dictionary's shorthand way of saying when you use this verb, you follow it by a dative. Tini is the dative of tis or ti, so someone or something. You resist tini, you resist someone or something in the dative. Similarly, antepain, you probably recognize that that's the aorist infinitive from anti-lego, to speak against or contradict. So now we see why he is in the dative. They will not be able to stand against or to speak against, to contradict, the mouth and wisdom, which, so the which has to be dative because it's the object of these two infinitives, which both require the dative case. Moving along, hapantes hoi antekemenoi humin. Hapantes is just a variant of pantes, all, and when we see all followed by an article, followed by a participle, we translate all who blank. Whatever the participle is, we render as a finite verb. Antekemai is to be opposed. So all who oppose, that also takes the dative, all who oppose you. We put it all together, for I will give to you a mouth and wisdom, or speech and wisdom, with which they will not be able to resist or to contradict. Who won't be able to? All who oppose you. Moving along to a similar expression in Acts chapter 6, this is Stephen, and we're told, kai uk iskuon. Iskuon could be a little tricky to parse. It's from iskuo. Iskus means strength. It just means to be able, just like dunamai. It's just a synonym for dunamai. The on ending should appear to you as a secondary ending, not present, but either a secondarist ending or an imperfect ending. When you have the secondarist or imperfect, you expect a temporal augment, but it's not easy to see how there is a temporal augment. In fact, when you augment verbs that begin with iota, often the iota just absorbs the augment. So this is the imperfect of iskuo. So they were not able to do what? To antistenai, to stand against, te sophia kai, to pneumati, to stand against, we already know that word, and it takes the dative, the wisdom, and the spirit, with which he was speaking. And with which here, we need the dative y because of the resisting, and ho is neuter. So again, we have a compound expression, wisdom and pneuma. Wisdom's feminine, pneuma's neuter. Ho really refers to both of them, but agrees in gender only with the nearest antecedent, pneuma. Elale is the imperfect from laleo. You have an augment, you have the present stem, and you have the contract verb with secondary endings. This has given us a chance to practice with antistemi, but it's also sort of interesting because one thing Greek opens up for you is the ability to see what an author is up to. And there are many instances where Luke has gone to some effort to try to show that a promise made in the gospel is fulfilled in the book of Acts. This is an especially clear case where Jesus says you'll get wisdom and speech that no one will be able to resist. And then in Acts, someone gets wisdom in the Spirit that people can't resist. Luke only uses this second aorist form once of this verb, once in Luke, once in Acts. And so there it's just quite clear what Luke's purposes are.